What's happening, people? And welcome back to GavGoesIn. Big up yourselves for coming on each and every time. Make sure we're smashing that like button as soon as we come on. And as always, if you're new in here, make sure you sub to the channel as well and check out all the other content. And guys, most importantly, make sure you're sharing the content as well. Obviously, today's one's going to be a bit of a different one. So we're going to look at the latest transfer news. So obviously, international football well and truly done now until the March international breaks before the potential World Cup. Big up to Blue Lock fan as well. Big up to Sham. Big up my guys each and every time. So yeah, listen. Obviously international break now, and as I said, man, yeah, it's gonna get exciting now. You know, definitely with the club football returning. You know, some big games on the weekend. You think of the North London derby between Arsenal and Tottenham. And you think of the Manchester City going to Newcastle. United, they got Everton, I believe, at home. I think there's some other tough games coming up as well. So, yeah, listen, the Premier League action is definitely back. And as I said, man, now we can put this international football on the back burner for a little bit. By the way, I took your advice and scored a bicycle kick in the last minute. Yeah, big up, man. Big up. As I said, man, belief is half the battle, man. If you believe in yourself, then, you know, it does go a long way. So, yeah, big up. Big up to Fitz as well, each and every time as well. Guys, remember, don't forget to smash the like button. And, again, if you are new, sub to the channel. Obviously, smashing that like button helps the channel to grow. And as always, make sure you share the channel as well. So, as I said, man, we're going to get into some of the transfer news, you know, that I've seen over the last couple of days. I was going to mention it yesterday, but I thought, you know, let me just do it for today's stream. Now, again, a lot of these things, you know, are possible rumors, you know, and again, whether these things actually happen come January or come next summer is a different story. So we're just going to be reacting to some of the news out there. I've got a bit of a list that I'm going to go through. But yeah, I want you guys to let me know if you think, you know, these will be realistic transfers, whether January or whether next summer. So first one, you know, for me, one of my favorite ever players, you know, a guy that's 37 years of age now. But there's talk about Karim Benzema returning to Europe. You know, maybe returning to Real Madrid. I don't see that. You know what I mean? When you've got Mbappe there already, what would be the use for bringing in Benzema back there? Unless Benzema knows he's going to go there really for, I don't know, more of a, you know, trying to help the younger players in a sense. But he's 37 years of age, so I don't really see the point in Benzema going back to Real Madrid. And but there is talk about him coming back to Europe. I think he's at Al Ittihad, and there's talk about him not signing a new contract. But yeah, for me, you know, one of the greatest strikers of his generation, easily. You know, a guy that modelled his game on R9, as we know, and then obviously, you know, I think what's he not won? I mean, he's won league title, Champions Leagues. Has he won a World Cup? I'm not sure if he's won a World Cup. He might have won a Euros. I'm not sure if he was in the squad for the World Cup when Pogba scored in the final. I'm not too sure. But obviously he's won that Ballon d'Or as well, which is, you know, a crucial individual prize. So, yeah, man, top player, man. Yeah, I can see Benzema returning back to France. Maybe going back to Lyon, who knows? But, yeah, there is talk about him coming back to Europe. But I don't really know if that's a possibility, man, because the money on offer that he's getting paid in Saudi, you know, it's quite hard to leave that. But if he thinks that, you know, he's got all the money that he needs, and he feels that, you know, I don't know, it's unfinished business in Europe in a sense, or he wants to see out his playing days in Europe, then yeah, man, then obviously that'd be something he's got to think about. So yeah, he wasn't in the World Cup squad. Yeah, cool. So yeah, Ballon d'Or. I think he's got a Euros, Champions League title. So Yeah, great career from Benzema, man. Great footballer. And at 37 years of age, still going strong. Boy, who knows, man? He could come back to Europe, man. But I think at this moment in time, you know, if I'm him, being 37, unless he's gonna come back to Europe to a team that he's gonna definitely be starting week in, week out, then he's probably best just staying where he is because I don't see too many teams playing a 37-year-old striker in Europe regularly. So again, the offer that other European teams will have to give to him, or maybe he might have to see, if there's a possibility of him doing something serious at these next clubs. But I think at the moment Al Ittihad, but going back to France could be a good one for him as well, for Lyon. Moving on, as we know, Antoine Semenyo, I think there's a release clause that's been revealed. I think he's got a 65 million release clause in his contract. Obviously being looked at by Man City, Liverpool, and Manchester United. Now, for me, I don't really see. I think there's two teams that I can't really see him going to, and for different reasons. I think the Manchester United one, I think the chance was there before they signed Cunha. I think it was either going to be a Cunha or a Semenyo in terms of where both players play. You look at Semenyo playing from the left for Bournemouth. Cunha, obviously, his best position in this system is a left 10. And I think Semenyo might be is he mid-20s now? So I'm thinking at 65 million, why would Man United go and spend that kind of money on someone like a Semenyo now, when you've got Cunha who can play that position? I think if Cunha wasn't there, then it's more of a possibility. But I think Semenyo's a good player, but I definitely don't think he's nowhere near special, you know what I mean? Or a player that's worth 65 million. But I think in terms of this league, he's definitely got attributes in this league that make him a problem. And I think, yeah, looking at him for Manchester United, that's not a possibility for me for them to sign him. So he turns 26 in January, same birth month as mine. Bloody hell, mad. But yeah, listen, I don't see Manchester United signing Semenyo. I don't see that. I think that's just paper talk. Manchester City again. I mean, I can't really picture a Semenyo in a Man City shirt personally. What I would say though is what I can see with what Pep Linders has done since he's come to Man City. If you're thinking of Doku playing well now, Erling Haaland's is arguably he's in the best form of his career. You'd probably say. These guys are both pace and power players. So if they are going to get a Semenyo, maybe Pep wants to go in a different way with playing pure pace in the attacking areas. But the only problem is Doku plays out on the left, and Semenyo, if he was to sign, will play out on the left as well. So I think because they got Doku there now and he's doing what he's doing, for me, I believe City would probably need more of a technician in that area of the pitch rather than going for someone that's more pace and power. So yeah, I don't really see it. I don't really see the Man City one. Oh, sorry, there was Tottenham as well. I forgot about Tottenham. So the Tottenham one, I can definitely see. And if I'm looking at the fact that they've got Mohamed Kudus on the right hand side, and if they was to go for a Semenyo, I mean, all of a sudden that attack looks dangerous because you've got two players in Kudus and Semenyo that both have pace and power. Semenyo has shown that he can score goals as well in this league. They'll be going to, a better team, you would say, in terms of the expectations. So I think Semenyo at Tottenham is more realistic, because if you think of who they play out there, I mean, I think Kolo Muani's on loan and, what's his best position, striker or as a left winger? Richarlison can play out there, but I think Richarlison now is more of a striker. Xavi Simons prefers to play in the 10. Matis Tel can play out there, but is probably, again, more of a striker. So again, there's a position since the departure of Son for Semenyo to play out there. And I think for me, yeah, Semenyo would be an ideal replacement for a Son in terms of the physicality and the power and the pace that he would provide there. So yeah, Kudus and Semenyo on the wings is that's a problem in this Premier League. So I reckon he's more ideal for going there. But I definitely think I definitely do think yeah, that's probably a better option for him. Big up to Nathan. Yeah, listen, Nathan, I'm gonna discuss Nico Paz. I say I've got a few players to go through, and he's definitely one on the list as well. So yeah, big up, man. Big up to Barbara Joseph as well. Big up for coming back on. And then Liverpool. I mean, the Liverpool one again, just like the Man United one. I would say that with Liverpool, the only way a Semenyo comes into question for Liverpool is if Cody Gakpo moves on. And at the moment, I don't think that's going to happen. So the Semenyo one wouldn't really make sense unless Gakpo moves on. And if that was to happen, then you can kind of see why they would go for him with the pace and the power from that position. So yeah, for me, there's two teams definitely in Man City. I mean, in Liverpool and Tottenham, especially, that could do with a Semenyo. But 65 million for someone that's turning 26 in January, that's probably a decent price, really, when you think about it. If you look at the amount of money that other players have been going for. So yeah, I think that's probably a decent deal. So yeah, we have to wait and see what happens, man. But yeah, I think in this league, I definitely see him staying in this league, and whoever he goes to, he's going to be a massive asset for them, man, because of the way that he plays and what he can offer those teams. Moving on, staying with Tottenham. So Tottenham looking at Takefusa Kubo from Real Sociedad. Again, this is more a deal that's not going to happen for me. I think when you got Kudus out there, and I think Kubo, I mean, if they sell a Brennan Johnson and they need competition for Kudus out there, then I can see it. But from what I've seen, they're looking at Kubo because they can't get Iliman NDI. And again, Iliman NDI is a top player, man. He's a very good player at Everton. And Everton, again, don't want to lose him. But I think there's been talk about Kubo going to Tottenham. But for me, it doesn't really make sense because he's left-footed, plays on the right-hand side where Kudus is there. So unless they want to have two players for each position and then Brennan Johnson moves on, then it does make more sense. But I think for what he might cost, I think they might look at other options, But as I said, Iliman NDI, top player, man. And, there should be other teams interested in him because he can go and play for me, one of the top 6 teams in the league. But Everton are not going to want to let him go and they will ask for a lot of money. So, yeah, it's one of them things. João Gomez from Wolves, 44 million price tag. I think he's a good player. I do think he's a good player. And I think, if I'm honest, he's obviously been linked to Manchester United. And again, in that position, Man United are looking at as a right-sided central midfielder. There's Elliot Anderson, obviously, and then there was talk about Conor Gallagher. So I think Gomez would be in the same boat as a Gallagher, either or. I think Gallagher would be more attractive for United because it's more of a loan deal. But for me, Gomez is a very good player, and I can see him playing for another team in the Premier League. If I look at other teams in the Premier League that could do with a João Gomez, I look at I'm trying to think now. Teams like an Aston Villa, if they want to add more squad depth to their midfield. I mean, someone like a Lavia, if they move Lavia on because of his fitness, could he do a job for them at Chelsea? United already mentioned. Trying to think now, really. You know, I think there's other teams. You know, a Brentford could do with him in a sense. So yeah, I think there's other teams that could be in for João Gomez. 44 million, I think, is a decent price, but I think if Manchester United was to get a Baleba, I think Baleba needs to be the first one in midfield, and they got a Gomez. I mean, that would be a decent acquisition for United. You know, but for me personally, I don't want it blocking Kobbie Mainoo's path, if I'm honest. So, but 44 million is decent, and that's what's been rumored that that Wolves will ask for. And I think if they get relegated as well, it could even come down. So, quick question: who do you think will win the World Cup in your eyes? So, for me, as I've always said, the front runners are going to be France, Spain, Argentina, Brazil. I think those four teams, if we're being honest, will be the front runners. And again, this is Argentina and Brazil, not at their very best, but when it comes to World Cups, you know, you can never rule out those kind of teams. And again, these teams have got a lot of quality in attack, so you can't rule out those teams. But I think from a European, I think you have to look at France and Spain. But who knows, man? It's going to be a good tournament, in my opinion. I think I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, they're going to be my choice, personally. What type of midfielder do you think Man United should buy? A playmaker, a ball winner, or a box-to-box midfielder? So for me, Man United need a playmaker. So for me, this is why I want Baleba, because Baleba is a ball winner and a box-to-box midfielder in one. So if you can get a player like that in one, and he's left-footed to add balance to the midfield, that's ideal. And then if you could get a right-sided central midfielder, or you got Kobbie there, who is a playmaker, then if you want to get, you know, add squad depth, you know, there could be players out there. But I think Baleba is a signing that needs to be made, because he ticks so many boxes. As I said, he's left-footed, and he's a ball winner and a box-to-box midfielder in one. You know, and then I'm not saying he's a playmaker, but on the ball, he is very composed on the ball. So if you can get him in the midfield and then get Kobbie back, and you ditch this 3-4-2-1, if the manager does move on, then again, as I said, man, that would be ideal. But Man United need ball players, man. That's what it is. They need ball players in midfield. I'm sick and tired of seeing high energy players in the midfield. You know, in the two, you got Bruno and you got Casemiro at the moment. You know, and as I said, man, Man United need pure ball players in there. Adam Waltons, you know, even Stiller. These guys are ball players. But I think because both of them are left-footed, I'm thinking if you want a box-to-box midfielder and a ball winner, then I think Baleba's the ideal one for that one. So, but yeah, but moving back on, Chelsea looking at Elliot Anderson. Forest want 100 million or close to 100 million, and as I said, man, that's just Nottingham Forest, you know, trying to drive a bidding war, really, or just saying they don't want to sell him, because he's not going to go for 100 million. But he's a very good player, Anderson. You know, international now. Again, Tuchel has more or less said, you know, he'll be partnering Declan Rice in midfield. And again, he's someone that's come from nowhere to now be a regular starter for club and country, which is crazy. So, but he's a very good player. But there's no way Anderson will be bought for 100 million. But that's just yeah, Forest's way of saying, you know, we don't want to sell him, more or less, or they'll just try and drive a bidding war. I reckon if Anderson was to leave, I think in this market right now, I reckon he goes for between 50 and 70 mil. I think in between, anywhere like that. I can't see it being above that, you know. Baleba was valued at 90 to 100 million in the summer. Do you think he's still worth that? Not for me. Well, I mean, if you're looking at his age, he's what, 21? if you're looking at how he's been performing since the summer, you know, his value would have gone down, obviously. But I think I'm gonna say definitely not 100 million. You know, I say between the same. I think the same as Elliot Anderson. I would say between 50 and 70 million. I think anything between that, you know, I think would be acceptable. But again, let's not forget that you'll be paying. I don't think United are going to pay upfront that amount of money for Baleba. I think it'll be done in installments. So if that's the case, then yeah, I'll be happy with that. But I don't think the 90 to 100 million is going to be what is going to be bought for Baleba, man. I can't see it. You know, I could be wrong, but it is a lot of money when you think about it. What do you think about Lamine Yamal? Yeah, he's the best player in the world, man. For me, best player in the world. Best pure footballer in the world right now. Obviously he's out injured, so but yeah, as I keep saying, man, and I had this conversation the other day. You know, name me a player that's been a key player for club and country. Like, and when I'm saying key player, the go-to guy for club and country at the age of 16. Obviously, he's 18 now, but at 16, he was key for Barcelona and for Spain. Like, it's unheard of. So, and again, the guy's only 18, and yeah, as I said, man, he'll be dominating the Ballon d'Or for me for years to come. No doubt about that if he stays fit. Big up, Gav. How you doing, bro? Yeah, big up, man. Big up. I'm all good. I'm all good. Yeah, I'm off. I'm off out. I mean, obviously I got my boxing coming up in 3 weeks' time, and I've got a physiotherapy session at 2:30, man. So I need to get my groin sorted out, man, because it's just giving me problems. You know, I had football yesterday, and I couldn't really run full out because the groin's just giving me problems. So yeah, I'm gonna go and get that sorted out. But other than that, man, yeah, I'm all good, man. I hope you're doing well also. Guys, I will get back onto your questions and comments once we get through some of these other topics to discuss. Ibrahim Konate. So, will he stay? It's one for Sham, obviously Liverpool fan. Will he stay or at Liverpool, or will he go to Real Madrid? You know what? I've got a feeling. Yeah, he's gonna go to Real Madrid, and the reason I think that, and before I was saying he's gonna stay at Liverpool, but because of the contingency of French players at Real Madrid, you know, you think of Camavinga, Chouameni, and obviously Mbappe. You know, could his head be turned in going to Real Madrid? You know, because I think the only way he probably stays at Liverpool is if more or less they pay him what he kind of wants, you know. And I would say the ball is kind of in his court because I don't believe Liverpool would want to lose him. You know, obviously let's talk about Guehi to replace him as well. But the ball's firmly in his court because he doesn't have to go. And again, if he's thinking of going to Real Madrid, where there's other French players there, you know, I think Ferland Mendy's still there as well. I think another French guy, so he could be looking at that. But it all depends, you know, the money at Liverpool, or if he feels that his time at Liverpool's done. You never know. But and it's exactly, man, when Madrid or Barca come calling, it's a wrap. Yeah, exactly. It's very hard to turn down those kind of clubs, man. But I just think at this moment in time, again, he said he's going to reveal all anyway. But I think at this moment in time, I think he leans more towards Real Madrid. But again, that could all change, you know. But I think at the moment, possibly Real Madrid, you know. Big up to Barbara Joseph as well for the super sticker. Big up. Chouameni would have been perfect for this Man United, but Real Madrid will never sell him. Yeah, I 100% agree. Chouameni, Camavinga. Camavinga's always been my top target, man. Before he went to Real Madrid from Rennes. He's always been my top target. But, yeah, it's going to be difficult to kind of get him now, man, if I'm honest. But that's more of a dream signing, I would say, because getting players from Real Madrid, I know we got Casemiro, But obviously, yeah, it's kind of hard to get players out of Real Madrid, really, unless Real Madrid want to sell them. So yeah, 70 mil for Baleba. Yeah, I see that. I see that. Any news on Yildiz? Yeah, Kenan Yildiz. I think there's talk about him not signing a new contract. I think there's obviously Chelsea, Arsenal, that looking at him. But again, I think getting him out of Juventus ain't gonna be easy. I think you're looking at another 80 mil, maybe more than that, to get him out of there. But I think there was talk about him not signing a new contract. So we'll have to wait and see, man. So yeah, Ibrahim Kanate, I think at the moment he's probably more leaning towards the exit door, really. But Mark Guehi, Bernardo Silva, Kanate we just spoke about, and Harry Maguire, looking like they're all available on free transfers at the end of the season. I think Maguire stays at Man United, funny enough. I think he does stay as like a backup centre-back on less money. Mark Guehi, I think Guehi definitely goes. Bernardo Silva, I mean, we're going to get into Bernardo Silva in a bit because there's talk about Real Madrid eyeing up someone that I'm a massive fan of, but I don't think City will be able to get him, but he could be the Bernardo Silva replacement. So yeah, these guys all available free transfers. I think out of that four, I think possibly three of them will go on a free. And I think Maguire is the only one I think that might sign a new contract at United. Barcelona looking at Alejandro Grimaldo, João Cancelo, and Daniel Munoz of Palace. I think the Munoz one, again, he's already come out saying he wants to play for a bigger club, and I think, what is he? I think he might be, is he late 20s or something? He might be. But I think with him, Jules Koundé plays right back. Obviously, if anyone doesn't know, Jules Koundé is actually a centre-back, but he has adapted to being a right back for club and country. But Munoz is a natural wing-back, you would say. And Barca don't really play with wing-backs, but they play with their full-backs quite high up. So, yeah, he could be a possibility. João Cancelo, again, formerly of Man City. This is a guy that was on loan at Barcelona as well. And Bayern Munich, obviously playing in Saudi. I don't see Barca revisiting that one, even though he is a top player, top defender still. But as I said, man, it's a bit of a tricky one if they do go in for him. Because, he can play both sides, which will be good for Barcelona. But I just don't know about that one. But Alejandro Grimaldo. And again, Grimaldo, formerly of Barcelona. Obviously at Bayer Leverkusen now. I think he's their vice captain as well. So, yeah, I think I'm looking at why would they bring him back? Because they've got Balde. They've got Gerard Martin as well, who's come through the youth. I don't really see the Grimaldo one back to Barca, unless they're looking at moving someone on. But they're not going to move on Balde. So, yeah, it's an odd one. But that's just speculation. I don't see that really happening. It wouldn't really make sense. And I think Grimaldo, again, is someone that might be late 20s as well. So I don't really see that one unless they're going to have Grimaldo battle it out with Balde and then loan Gerard Martin or something like that. That's the only way I can see that. So, yeah, crazy. But yeah, the one I'll talk about with Bernardo Silva is Pep is eyeing up Arda Güler. And listen, what a player Güler is. I don't see him. I don't see Real Madrid cashing in on him. Before Xabi Alonso came, you could definitely see that. But the fact that Pep is looking at Güler, I think he's looking at Güler as his sorry. I think he's looking at Güler as his Bernardo Silva replacement. Because you think of both players being left-footed. Bernardo Silva was a 10, Obviously, he's now a jack of all trades, really, I would say. Top player, but not the Bernardo Silva that I remember playing for Monaco. And Güler is more or less a Bernardo Silva clone, in a sense. So, yeah, I think Bernardo Silva will leave at the end of the season on a free transfer. and this is why Pep is rumoured to be after Goulet. But getting Goulet out of Real Madrid is going to be difficult. And the fact that he's playing a bit more regularly now, you know, I don't see them wanting to part ways with him, you know. So, but yeah, what a replacement he would be. And he would suit, he would slot into that City team easy. Imagine having, yeah, at City, Goulet, Ryan Cherky, Phil Foden, all left-footed number 10s, all in one team. Like crazy. That is crazy. But yeah, I can see him being interested, no doubt, but I can't see Real Madrid parting ways, man. If we wanted the left winger, we should have got Rodrigo. I'm guessing Espa, I'm guessing you're a Arsenal fan. Listen, you guys were never getting Rodrigo. You were never getting him, man. When you've got Martinelli on 180, you know, he's got to justify giving Martinelli game time. The fact that Martinelli's playing as an impact sub now, you know, it's okay for the moment. But as I said, man, when everyone's fit, let's see what he's going to do. But yeah, Rodrigo for me was never a realistic option for Arsenal, for me. So Liverpool need Guehi and another top defender to replace Van Dijk, like Bastoni or someone. Yeah, listen, this is why I said in the summer, they should have gone for a Castello Lucaba or a Bastoni, left-footed centre-backs, and played a free. I'm telling you now, you wouldn't see Liverpool struggling right now if they went to a free. Again, we've spoken about that so many times, but yeah, I just don't understand why they didn't go to a free at the back and allow Van Dijk, you know, to be the orchestrator and have Konate one side and have a Lucaba or a Bastoni that have got pace and legs in the team. So, yeah. Blue Lock fan says Ronaldo or Messi. Messi. I get asked this so many times and the opinion's never going to change. It's Messi all day long. Let's go through some of your comments and questions. Guys, come on, make sure we're smashing the like button. There's 15 of you in it and there's 7 likes. Let's at least try and hit 10 likes. So if you're enjoying the content and you enjoy the channel, smash the like button and make sure you sub if you're new in there as well. So yeah, let's move on. I think this one, I mean, I'm only going to touch on it a little bit. But there was talk about Romeo Lavia being part of the Garnacho deal going to Chelsea. For me, it frustrates me. And I'll tell you why it frustrates me for 2 reasons. It frustrates me because Lavia's a top player, but he can't stay fit. So it's hard because I'm looking at Garnacho going one way. And even though Lavia is injury prone, I think sometimes you have to just bite the bullet and just take the deal. So I'd have been happy with Lavia coming to United, even though he is injury prone. But in the same sense, I can see why United didn't pursue the deal. Because, again, if you've got a player that can't stay fit, what use is he to your team? But for me, being selfish and just thinking more of getting the player in, I mean, I would have loved to have seen Lavia be part of that deal with Lavia coming to United and Garnacho going the other way. Yeah, listen, I would have still taken Lavia, but I can see why the club didn't do it because of his fitness record. Because let's face it, if Lavia wasn't injury prone, this deal would never be spoken about. There would never be no Lavia for Garnacho. So again, you had to see Lavia be injury prone for this deal to even be spoken about. But the fact that he's injury prone, yeah, it means that, yeah, I can see why the club didn't pursue that. But me being selfish, I would have definitely taken Lavia. He's a top player. Moving on. Roma looking at Joshua Zirkzee. Now, leaving Manchester United in January. I hope not, but I think if he wants to, and I'm basing it on this manager, yeah, because Benjamin Sesko right now, yeah, is out for a month. For me, there's no excuse to not play Zirkzee. No excuse. But as we know, this manager loves Mason Mount. And and he's gonna play. He loves Mason Mount, and he's gonna play Cunha in the 9. You would think. So for me, um, I would hope to see Xerxes play and force his way to being the main striker for United, and then this talk about January dies down, because there's no excuse for him not to play Xerxes now, really. You know, Sesko's out for the month. Xerxes should have been playing in the first place anyway. And it's like, we know Cunha is more effective as a 10. So he has to play Xerxes. He has to give Xerxes game time. And if Xerxes doesn't get game time within this month, then you'd have to assume, and no one can say anything else, there's a personal problem between Ruben Amorim and Xerxes, because there's no excuse for him not to play Xerxes. So I'm hoping Xerxes gets game time and proves his worth. You know, the amount of people that think Xerxes not a 9 is criminal. It's criminal to hear that, because you're actually getting people coming out saying Xerxes not a striker, and it's like, I just keep telling people, he might not be the striker that you like, but he's a striker. He's a striker with number 10 qualities. He's a false 9, you know, but people think he's not a striker. They think he's a 10. Like, it's ridiculous. He can play in the 10, of course he can, because he's a great footballer, but he's a number 9. So when people are saying that he's not a 9, he might not be a number 9 that Amarim likes, or that you might not like, but he is a number 9. Because if he goes to another team on loan, they're going to play him in the 9. So when you're hearing people say this nonsense about he's not a 9, for me, it just shows that they don't really understand the player that Xerxes is, or understand football, really. Because anyone saying that he's not a 9 is just ridiculous. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it is what it is, man. Let's go through some of your chats. Zubimendi has been our best signing, in my opinion. Boy, that shocked me, ain't gonna lie. So Arsenal's best signing this summer from what they've brought in. I think before he got injured, Madueke was looking a problem, and I don't really rate him like that. Eze's not been the same Eze, but we knew that anyway. You don't go from Crystal Palace, where he had freedom, to a very systematic team in Arsenal, and think that Eze is going to be the same player. He's not, which is why Eze didn't go to Tottenham didn't make any sense on his part. But he's made his choice, and it is what it is. But yeah, I think if you're basing it on the new signings, you probably might have to say Zubimendi. Because Eze, for me, is the better player, but obviously not the same positions. But Eze hasn't been the Eze that we know. So yeah, I can kind of see why you're of that opinion. Yeah, listen, man, the Mason Mount one hurts me. I ain't gonna lie, that hurts me, man. To see Mason Mount on 250, number 7 on his back, and be shoehorned into this team is nothing short of a scandal. And not to mention, he cost about, what, 60 mil? Like, whoever sanctioned that deal, they need to be sectioned. They need to be sectioned, because that's unforgivable. To have Mason Mount as number 7, an iconic shirt number, on 250, 60 mil fee as well, and being shoehorned into this team, yeah, he's won the lottery, man. Because I just don't get that, you know. But football's in a mad place, because some of the things that we have to listen to, or some of the things that we have to see, doesn't really make sense to me. But yeah, it's what it is, isn't it? I want to see Henkapié and Eze in the North London derby, so we can tell Spurs what they missed on. Yeah, listen, I think it's weird, because Hincapié either starts at left back or he doesn't play, because I think he's gonna play Mosquito at left centre back, because Mosquito played left centre back for Valencia, so I think he plays there, and then it's gonna be between Hincapié or Lewis Skelly at left back. I think personally, yeah, I think he plays Lewis Skelly at left back up against Kudus if he's fit, and the reason I say that is because Lewis Skelly has had a season under his belt for Arsenal at left back, going up against Kudus. Hincapié is his first season, hasn't played too many games. So I think throwing him into a North London derby, I think could be a problem. You know, but then again, Gabriel's out injured. So who's going to partner Saliba? You know, imagine if he does the unthinkable and plays Ben White there. Imagine that. But I think Mosquera might play less centre back because let's not forget Mosquera did play against who did he come on against? Was it Man City he came on? Or was it Liverpool that he come on and played next to Gabriel? Obviously, no Gabriel, so he might play there. So I think Mosquera plays left side centre back, but I think Nketiah might be on the bench for Lewis Skelly at left back for me. Yeah, listen, Xerxes is a Firmino slash Tony type of player. 100%. 100%. So again, when people say that he's not a striker, like I just laugh because it's like, what do you mean he's not a striker? Of course he's a striker. At what point at what point did he not become a striker? And I think the only reason people say he's not a striker is because he has qualities of a number 10. But that don't mean he's not a striker. You know, Bobby Firmino wasn't a striker. Bobby Firmino was actually a number 10. But for Liverpool, he played a false 9. And again, it's about relationships. It's about being a facilitator. Because Salah and Mane wouldn't have done half the dirt they done for Liverpool if it wasn't for Firmino. Because Firmino was unselfish. And the fact that Firmino is actually a number 10 and then converted his game to a false 9, that's why Salah and Mane had the joy they had. But Xerxes one is the other way around, really. He's a number 9, but with 10 qualities. So just play him in the 9 so he can facilitate for Mbeumo and Cunha. You know what I mean? That's how it is. I still rate Obi. Yeah, I think Obi's decent, but there's no part of me that thinks Chido Obi is going to be a regular striker for United from what I've seen so far. He definitely needs a loan and then see how he gets on from there. But very raw for me at the moment. Exactly, Gav. Mount with 7 shirt and the fee plus his fitness, but yet we didn't add Lavia to the Garnacho deal for fitness. Yeah, listen, it's poor. It's diabolical. Yeah, I agree. Now that I think about it, yeah, they should have signed Lavia because they should have put Lavia in that deal. Because when we're just hearing the thing about Mount, yeah, there's no excuse, man. So yeah, I'm gonna change my mind now. Yeah, definitely Lavia should have been the make weight for that deal. Based on what Luke Shaw being there for over a decade, injuries, and Mason Mount, there's no excuse, man, not to bring Lavia in. So S-Bar says Calafiori will start. I think Calafiori's out injured. So that's why Lewis Skelly will be at left back. I think Calafiori and Gabriel are both out injured. But yeah, Calafiori would have started, but he's injured. Let's go back onto the transfer interest. So Chelsea looking at making contact with Nico Paz of Como. Obviously, 21 years of age, Argentinian, formerly of Real Madrid. And again, Real Madrid have a buyback clause. And I heard earlier on in the season that Real Madrid are going to activate the buyback clause for Nico Paz. But yeah, Nico Paz, very good player, number 10, flourishing under Cesc Fabregas. And again, if you're a midfielder playing under Cesc Fabregas, you know what I mean? You're gonna be all right, man. And it's kind of weird Chelsea looking at him though, if I'm honest, because I know Chelsea were looking at Fermin Lopez, so maybe they're trying to get a number 10 in like that. But when you got Cole Palmer, I mean, the thing is with Chelsea, yeah, they've got Neto and Esteval for the right hand side. The left hand side is poor for me, Garnacho and Gittins, and then in the 10, Palmer and I mean João Pedro can play there, but I think the Nico Paz one, I'm not sure if there's got any legs to it, but I can see why they're interested in him. But what I would say is I don't know what with Chelsea's attack, man, because I mean, is Neto are they gonna move on Neto? Because Esteval and Cole Palmer are the 2 guarantees for the future. But I look at Neto, who's a bit hit and miss. Garnacho and Gittins, I don't rate. So I don't know, man. I don't know. And Cole Palmer for me is probably better from the right hand side as well. So where he's got more space. But yeah, the Nico Paz one I can see, but I just don't think Nico Paz. I think Real Madrid. I think they do the buyback clause. I think because you never know, they could buy him back and then sell him on for big money. So who knows, man? Who knows? But yeah, he's a good player, man. Very good player. And under Pep, under Cesc Fabregas, yeah, he's flourishing, man. So yeah. Um, but this is the one that's interesting as well. Staying with Real Madrid. There's been talk about Vinicius Junior. And guys, remember when I said, yeah, as soon as Mbappe comes in, you know, Real Madrid are going to have a problem with Vinicius Junior. And it's not really a surprise because, Vinicius Junior is a player that was leading leading the attack when Benzema left. Him and Rodrigo, when they had Bernam playing as more the advanced midfielder, come false nine, and with Hosselu as well. The attack was basically Vinicius Junior. He was the one that was that was the spared. Now, as soon as Mbappe came through the door, if you wasn't aware, both players are never going to flourish together. Someone's going to have to miss out. And as we know, because Mbappe is the bigger name, he gets the majority of the goals. Vinicius Junior now is just seen as another player, And when there was talk about Vinicius Junior going to Saudi for mad money and him wanting a new contract, that was more about to see how Real Madrid think of him. And I said this from early, because it's not hard to think that you've got two players that in their own minds are superstars in their own right. So the fact that Vinicius Junior now wants parity in pay with Mbappe, like, why are we surprised? And again, it's a ploy from his entourage to see how much Real Madrid think of him. And do I believe Real Madrid give him the money that Mbappe's on? I have to be honest, I'm not too sure. I think if we're looking at what he's done for Real Madrid in terms of the Champions Leagues, you have to give it to him, really. But then Real Madrid might look at the fact, they could get someone else to replace Vinicius Junior, or they could play Mbappe in his left wing role and go and get a striker themselves. So I just don't know if they give Mbappe the money. So because what? Vinicius Junior the money. Because Mbappe is the highest paid player at the club. And Vinny wants parity with that. And if we're honest, Vinicius Junior has every right to ask for that. But whether they give it to him or not is another story. So, yeah, I'm not too sure, man. But then again, if we're looking at in Europe, I don't really know where Vinicius Junior can go from Real Madrid, because he's not going to stay in Spain. I was going to say PSG, but then again, PSG have got Barcola and Doué, who they've invested in. Then you've got Kvaratskhelia as well, who plays out on the left. They're adaptable. Dembele. PSG could be a possibility, but I just don't know with the amount of attackers they've got already. Germany, no. I don't see him going to Bayern Munich. So then you're looking at England. And Man City comes into question, Chelsea, of course. You think of the left wingers that they've got there. So yeah, man, it's funny because I think it's either him getting a new contract, Saudi, or maybe City or Chelsea for Vinicius Junior. So yeah, I'm not too sure what happens there, man. But he definitely does want new wages, man, and you can see why. And I think if they stall on the contract and don't give it to him, I think he's going to be on his way, man, because he's definitely looking at the Mbappe coming to the club and thinking, well, look at what I've done since before Mbappe came. Because there's no denying that Vinicius Junior was instrumental in Real Madrid winning the Champions League. Mbappe's not won a Champions League before. So, you know what I mean? He's got every right to ask for that, Vinicius Junior. Let's go through some of your comments. Guys, come on, smash the like button if you're enjoying the content. Kobe and Lavia would have made me feel better about our future. Bro, listen, there's loads of players, man, that will make me feel better about the future. I mean, what makes me feel better about Man United's future is getting rid of this manager. That would be a good start. Because you get rid of the manager, it makes Bruno Fernandes vulnerable. It makes Dallo vulnerable. And all of a sudden, we can get a change of formation with this and stop with this 3-4-2-1 nonsense. And then we can be in better spirits, man. So the main thing for me is the manager. Like, I'm not even looking at the players anymore. It's the manager. Because the fact that, Højlund, Garnacho have all gone, Rashford as well, is good business. But when you've got a manager that's hell-bent on the system, hell-bent on certain players, Bruno, Dallo, Mason Mount, and all the other things that's gone with it with this manager, you get rid of him, then a lot of these things are eradicated for me. So, yeah, the future for me is getting rid of this manager. So, Verts at left wing and Soberslai at cam. So, again, you know what it is, yeah? Because Florian Wirtz is a 10, but I think in the Premier League, to give him more freedom, he might have to be off the left. But again, Florian Wirtz, for me, needs to be playing off the left in a 4-3-3. In a 4-3-3. Because if you're playing a 4-2-3-1, then really he should be in the 10. But again, the physicality in this league, he's not really getting to grips with. So that's why out wide, he probably, gets more freedom out there. But Soberslai, again, he's been very good. And again, as we're on Soberslai, he's been linked with Real Madrid and Man City. I mean, I think that's a speculation because for me, he's not going to Man City. Like, that's not going to happen. The Real Madrid one, I'm likening Szoboszlai to a Valverde, a player that can play right back, is a central midfielder, number 10. Obviously, Valverde is not a 10, but, the fact that Valverde's central midfield and right back where Szoboszlai's been playing, it's a bit similar. So, I don't really know, man. I don't really know, unless they revamp their whole team. That's what I would say. But, yeah, he's been one of Liverpool's best players this season. Yeah, Vinny or Rodrigo, one of them will leave. I think don't be surprised if both of them go. Don't be surprised because, as I said with Rodrigo, I knew Rodrigo wasn't going to play regular when Xabi Alonso came in. And that isn't because he isn't good enough. It's because Xabi Alonso plays with the left-footed player from the right-hand side. Look at what he done at Bayer Leverkusen with Amin Adli. So the fact that Mastan Tuanu's come through, Goulet's there as well, these guys are both left-footed. And then you think of Rodrigo anyway, he's actually a left winger, that can play as a false nine and can play on the right. Now, if you're thinking of Rodrigo not getting many game time and he has to really move on for the sake of his career, and then Vinicius Jr. wanting parity with Mbappe, like, don't be surprised if both of them move on. Don't be surprised, man. So who do you think will win the league? Man City. I've said Man City from the start. I was edging towards the start of the summer. I was edging during the summer, should I say? I edged towards Liverpool with their signings, but then when City got Reinders, Ain't Nouri, Cherky, the fact that Pep's back with his wife, I've always said City are going to take some stopping, and I'm still going to go with City, man. But I think, put it this way, yeah, don't rule out Liverpool. I know Liverpool have been horrible, but Liverpool are going to be up there. Don't be surprised because this league's very tight. And to think that Liverpool have lost 5 of their last 6 games, yeah, and they're on 18 points still, and they're only I think they're 7 or 8 points off of Arsenal. All of a sudden, if they put 2 wins together and Arsenal don't pick up any wins in their next 2, it's how quick it can change, and there's a long way to go. So 11 games into the season is a long way to go, man. So I'm going to say City, and I think Liverpool will be up there, I'm not going to rule out Liverpool yet, even though they have been poor. Let's go back on to some of the transfer news. AC Milan looking at Robert Lewandowski. And again, Lewandowski, 37 years of age. You know, obviously he's definitely leaving on a free transfer. I mean, what a career, man. You know, you think of Lewandowski and Benzema both being 37. You know, two of the best strikers of their generation. You know, it's an end of an era, man. And obviously Lewandowski is going to be going to Milan if he does go there as more of a swan song, you know, to see out his career. And yeah, man, listen, that's what I'm saying, man. The striker market right now is horrible, man. There's not too many strikers going about of real quality. And the fact that AC Milan looking at Lewandowski, you know, him being 37, you know, it's more of the experience side of it. So yeah, Milan looking at Lewandowski for that one on a free. This one surprised me. PSG looking at Gavi of Barcelona. I think Gavi's back out injured again. And this guy's had, you know, he's had a horrible time of injury, really. But, I mean, I can't see Barca parting ways with Gavi, you know, obviously coming through the youth. And again, why would Barca sign Gavi when they've got Vitinha, João Neves and Fabian Ruiz? Unless one of them players are leaving, the Gavi doesn't really make sense, if I'm honest. And they've got youngsters as well that they can call upon if need be. You know, I think they've got Seni Mayulu who can play in midfield. Obviously, different position, plays out in the wing. But guys, watch out for a player called, I think it's Mbaye. Can't remember, is it M? He come on for Senegal the other day against Brazil. And he's only 17. I'm telling you now, he's going to be a problem, man. Another player PSG got coming through. So this is why, again, I don't see Vinicius Jr. to PSG. Because they've got him coming through and he plays out on the left. And he looks special. He looks very good. So, yeah, he's another one. But yeah, Gavi, I don't really see it. Again, I think it's just speculation. I don't think Barca sell him. And again, if we're looking at, where is he going to fit in, he doesn't. So unless one of them free leave. So I don't really see that one. But staying on PSG, there's been talk about Liverpool wanting Vitinha, you know, and to plug the gap at number 6. And I'm laughing because why Liverpool going straight for Vitinha when PSG don't have to sell? If they do sell, it's going to be for, I think it's been rumoured to be about 130 mil. And at what point did Liverpool now realise they need number 6? They should never have banked on the fact that Gravenberch, because he had a good season, should be the 6 because Gravenberch is number 8. But to go straight for Vitinha is mad. And again, for me, there's no way they're going to get Vitinha. Not for 130 million, even that. I think he's one of the indispensable players at PSG. And as I said, man, yeah, I just can't see that deal happening. But he's a top player, man, for sure. Harry Kane to Barcelona. I mean, this one, I understand it, but I don't. Because Lewandowski is leaving on a free transfer. If we're looking at the fact that, you know, the striker market's dead, Barca needs someone to replace to replace Lewandowski. Harry Kane, for me, right now, you know, is the best striker in the world right now for me in terms of overall play. But I just don't understand why Barca will go for someone that's 32, will probably be 33 by the time he arrives there, if he does arrive there. I mean, for me, Barca need to be looking to the future, you know, getting someone that is mid-20s. But I think them going for Kane, yeah, I mean, Kane's obviously clearly good enough to play for Barcelona. But for me, it doesn't make sense when you're getting rid of a 37-year-old to go and bring in a 32, 33-year-old at the time. Like, I would have thought they'd have gone for someone younger. But again, it just shows you that the striker market's dead. Because if they're looking at Harry Kane, who's 32, to take over from Lewandowski, it just shows you that there's no strikers about that are at the level. So, yeah. But again, would Bayern Munich want to sell Harry Kane? You know what I mean? This is another thing. Would Bayern Munich want to sell Harry Kane? Because, you know, who can Bayern get in to replace Harry Kane? Remember when Bayern were trying to get Nick Walter-Mada and that fell through? You know, that they'll be kicking themselves now that they never got Walter Marder, because they could afford to like have Kane for a couple of seasons, and if he wanted to go, they've got a ready-made replacement there. But yeah, man, it's crazy. But the Kane one, I don't know if I see this one. I don't know if I see Kane going to Barcelona. Not at that age. Um, Liverpool looking at Michael Elise, you know, and again, this is one that makes me laugh. And I'll tell you why it makes me laugh here is because to think that they're looking at Elise as the replacement for Mo Salah, yeah. For one, to not identify that Elise was a top player in the first place when he was at Crystal Palace, and thinking that he went to Bayern Munich for, was it something like 40 million, is poor judgment in the first place, because you can just clearly see that Elise was a top player. He was a top player in the making, man. There was no doubt. This is a player as well in Elise that used to be at Chelsea, you know? And obviously him being at Crystal Palace, you could clearly see that he was too good for Palace, you know, in terms of the quality that he had. And Liverpool now identifying him to replace Salah, even though they're two totally different players. You know, you've got Michael Elise, who's really a number 10 playing out wide. And then you've got Mo Salah, who's a wide forward, a striker come wide. He's a striker playing out wide, really. So they're not really the identical kind of replacements. So who knows? Liverpool might be going a different way in terms of having a creator out there. But it's how much he's going to cost, you know, 200 million. You know, that's probably been reported. But that's just Bayern Munich saying they don't want to sell him. And Liverpool are not going to pay that for Elise, you know. And as I said before, they should be looking at Yankuba Minte to replace Salah. He's going to cost less. You know, he's African as well. You know, he offers the pace and the power that Salah has. Would he get as many goals as Salah? I don't think so. But he's more of the ideal replacement than what Elise would be, because Elise is going to cost too much money. And if Elise does come in, you know, you're going to go in a different way where the goals are not going to be solely focused on getting it out from the right side of the pitch from Salah. So yeah, maybe they could be going a different way, but they've kind of missed out on Elise the way that I see it, because he's going to cost too much money. So yeah, I don't see it. As I said before, Yankuba Minte is the ideal one for Liverpool. Why Liverpool don't identify him, you know, as the replacement, don't really make sense for me. But who knows? Let's go through some of your chats quickly. So I think Portugal will win the World Cup this time because they also have a great team. Yeah, personally, I don't think so. I don't think they win the World Cup. You know, we spoke about this yesterday as well. For me, if they bank on Ronaldo, they're not winning no World Cup. If we look at the quality they have, you know, and the strength, the squad depth, then yeah, there's an argument for them to go all the way. But Portugal never go all the way, man, in tournaments, you know. And I think when they meet one of the top teams, I don't think they'll have what it takes personally. But again, they'll be one of the teams that will be fancying themselves as favourites. Goulet could be a replacement for Salah. Again, Goulet could be but again, we have to look at, are Liverpool going to continue with getting goals from out wide? This is where it comes down to, because you have to realize that Mo Salah is their main source of goals from the right hand side. Again, this season, you know, he hasn't been like that. And that's because that's because obviously the game, Mo Salah slowed down. But if you're going to bring in a Goulet or an Elise, that means that the goals, because you're bringing in creators. These guys are creators, not wide forwards. So this is why when I'm saying before, you've got number 10s that play out wide. You know, you've got strikers that play out like a wide forward, or you've got actual wingers. So Elise and a Goulet, there'll be number 10s playing out wide, which means that first and foremost, there'll be creators, which means your goals will be coming from your central strikers. So if he does identify a Goulet or a Elise, that will tell me that Liverpool are going to be going in a different way, you know, and that's something that they got to figure out, yes. But if they want to go like for like, the closest player to a wide forward, again, Mbeumo should have been signed, but we know that. Mbeumo should have been signed for Liverpool because he would have replaced Mo Salah perfectly. Kudus was another option as well. But if I'm looking at right now in terms of what Salah offers, if you're taking away the goals, then the ideal replacement is Yankuba Minte. Like, but if you want to go in a different way with a creator, then yeah, the likes of Elise, the likes of Goulet are options, as well as a few others. So yeah. And then last one, guys. Again, I've not seen this player, but there seems to be a lot of noise around him. And that's 16-year-old Kenneth Eichhorn. I think he plays for. I can't remember who he plays for now. I think is he at Hertha Berlin in Germany? He might be. I can't remember. But he's attracting interest from all the top clubs around Europe. So all the big clubs: PSG, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Man United, City. Again, I haven't seen him play. Kenneth Eichhorn. So I'm gonna try and get some clips on him and see how he plays. Again, when I see a clip of someone, I can tell if they're a player within the first 5 or 10 seconds. You know, there's something in their game I can just see from a little clip. So I'm gonna have a look at him a bit later to see what he's all about. But yeah, man, I think the fact that he's 16 and all the big clubs are looking at him, you know, it means there's something there for sure. But yeah, who knows, man? We have to wait and see. Isn't Yildiz also both-footed? So Yildiz is right-footed, but obviously he plays from the left. Again, he plays inverted. So he's not really left. He's not really both-footed. But he does play from the left. And obviously, as we know, playing inverted, it just means you've got more options to get a shot off or to take your man down on the outside. So, but yeah, he plays from the left-hand side. Yeah, big up, man, for coming back. Big up. Guys, another 5 minutes, then we're going to wrap it up. Again, make sure you get your comments and your questions in. And as always, make sure you smash the like button if you haven't done so already. And share the channel, guys. And sub to the channel if you're new in here as well. Obviously, today's one was a bit of a different one. You know, just going through some of the transfer news that's been hotting up over the last few days. Again, a lot of them are, for me, unrealistic. Well, not unrealistic, but I think they're just rumors. But some of them could be, you know, there could be moves happening. You know, I think January would be quite hard, but I think maybe in the summer. So, what do you think about the new PSG players? Well, who's the new players? They got Zabani. I think Zabani is the only one that's new. Zabani, formerly of Bournemouth. Yeah, Zabani's a good player. They brought in Zabani to replace Marquinhos, I think, in the future. You know, but yeah, I think he's good. I think there was always talk about him, even when he was coming through at Young, they said he was going to be a top defender. So yeah, I think Zabani is good. I think he's the only one that's been signed though, for PSG. I don't think they've signed anyone else. So yeah, I think Zabani is the only one. Yeah. So I think the Ballon d'Or is rigged. Yeah, well, I mean, the domination of Messi and Ronaldo, man. Yeah, it's been like that. I mean, I lost respect for the Ballon d'Or when I see Scott McTominay in the top 20. That's when it was done for me. There was a few things that didn't make any sense. Scott McTominay in the top 20, and then Harry Kane should have probably been in the top 10, because I think Mbappe and someone else was in there, but then Harry Kane had better numbers. So Harry Kane won a Bundesliga and had good numbers. Mbappe didn't win a La Liga, didn't win a trophy, and had decent numbers, but not better than Kane. So again, Pedri should have been top 10. Yeah, there was loads of things, man. I just didn't understand. But again, how these things are worked out just doesn't make sense. But when I see Scott McTominay make the top 20, that's when I thought, yeah, this Ballon d'Or, let's just leave it, man. But as I said, Yamal, for me, will be dominating it for years to come. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't. So any thoughts on the Thomas Munier comments about Ten Hag signings for United being linked to the agency Ten Hag's son works for? Yeah, listen, I've been hearing this for a little while. Rasmus Højlund comes to mind. You know, you look at the Rasmus Højlund one. You know, there was question marks there from the get-go, because how can you sign a player, yeah, for 72 million who had 9 goals to show? 9 goals, and he's what was he, 19? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Just based off of that, you should know that there was something dodgy going on there. Again, I haven't seen Thomas Moynier's comments, but yeah, the agency that his son works for, there is some dodgy dealings there. I think the Anthony one might be involved in that somehow as well. Yeah, there's loads of things, but I think the Rasmus Højlund one is the standout one. To sign Rasmus Højlund for 72 million, you know, for a guy that scored 9 goals, you know, going to one of the biggest clubs in the world, that's when the alarm bell started ringing from there, because that don't make no sense to me. But yeah, it's just madness, really. But the fact that Højlund's gone, the fact that Ten Hag's gone, yeah, listen, I can't be any happier, man, because yeah, that was painful watching them. Does Mbappe deserve the golden boot? What's your opinion, Gav? How can he deserve the golden boot if the season's not finished? The person that deserves the golden boot is the person that scores the most goals. And I think it's the golden shoe, actually, not the golden boot. Golden boots in the Premier League. So what positions did you play back in the day at Chelsea's academy? So I was a striker, but they played me left wing most times because I'm left-footed. And again, back in the day when I was playing in the 4-4-2 era, you know, they used to look at, you know, they want to play strikers that are, you know, either physical, very, very quick, or 6 foot. You know, and back then, obviously, I'm not 6 foot. I had pace. I was very quick, but they wanted players that were just extraordinarily quick. And physicality, you know, wasn't part of my game back then. I think physicality now, you know, I've got a lot stronger in comparison to what I was back then. I was strong, but you know, I got a lot more strength now as you get older. But obviously the pace has gone the other way. You know, I'm not as quick as I used to be because I've got, you know, physically bigger. But yeah, back then they used to play me left midfield, you know, and but obviously I was a striker, you know, and you know, when they did play me as a striker, you know, I was bagging goals. But left wing back then, and this is why I say with the inverted, yeah, because there was no talk of it being inverted in them days, because if you're left-footed, you're playing left wing. If you're right-footed, you're playing right wing. Now, if you're thinking of playing as a left-footed winger, you're going away from goal because you're going to go onto your strongest side. So you was always going down the outside to put crosses in. You know, and obviously the way the game's gone now, you know, left footers play from the right, right footers play from the left. So you're playing more inverted, which gives you more chance to score. So, yeah, back then, man, I used to be someone, you know, my mindset wasn't right a lot of the time back then, because I used to be, you know, a bit sulky in the sense of saying, you know, I want to play through the middle because that's where I play. but knowing that they were never really giving me the chance to play through the middle, more on the left kind of thing. But as I've got older, I play more as a striker, more as a number 10, and yeah, just getting more on the ball, if anything, and a lot of the times I like drifting out towards the right-hand side to pick up the ball where there's more space and linking play like that or getting shots off. But yeah, no, listen, it's yeah, man, it was different back then. It was the 4-4-2 era, so yeah. Who was your idol growing up? My idols growing up were R9, Ronaldinho, Cantona. I'm trying to think now. If I'm picking one player, it was R9. R9 was the best striker I've ever seen. No one comes close, man. Adriano, I loved as well. What a player he was. But yeah, just from young, obviously being a Man United supporter, Andy Coles, Dwight Yorks, Eric Cantona. Used to love watching Paul Scholes as well. Terrible pundit though. But yeah, R9 for me, man. Has to be R9. I used to love watching Batistuta. I mean, what a striker Batistuta was. Henry I used to like watching as well. Van Nistelrooy's. But yeah, R9. Nothing beats R9, man. He's my... If I'm picking my 3 ever favourite players, and it's a hard list to compile, for me it's R9, Ronaldinho, and Messi. They're the 3 that I look at, man. Yeah, listen, if anyone knows Adriano, man, wait, listen, Adriano was illegal, I'm telling you. If anyone knows the Pro Evos, yeah, where you at Inter Milan, again, I've spoken about this plenty of times. Just go back to that Inter Milan team when you had Adriano and Ibrahimovic on the same team. You had the 2 same players. One was left-footed, one was right-footed. Both had pace. Both were the strongest on the game, and both had shot power like you never seen. So as I said, it was a mazza playing them 2 on for Inter Milan. Listen, Golazzo, that was listen. Now you're bringing back memories, Fitz, man. And again, I have to shoot now, man, so I can't really get too much into this. But Golazzo was when football was at its best. If anyone knows, this is one for Liverpool fans, yeah. You guys follow Federico Chiesa. Go and watch his dad, Enrico Chiesa, at Fiorentina when he was playing with Rui Costa and Batistuta. And then that's when you see players, yeah. So yeah, Federico Chiesa's dad, Enrico, what a baller he was, ridiculous. Golazzo, Serie A back then, Abel Balbo at Roma, Totti, you had Del Piero, Ravanelli, Vialli. Listen, the list goes on. George Weah. If you know about Beppe Signori from Lazio, the left-footed wonder of a left foot. R9, as I said, Zamorano, Baggio. Listen, I can go on all night, man. I could go on all night about some of these players. So again, before we wrap here, when I'm hearing people tell me that Jude Bellingham's a number 10 and they rate Jude Bellingham to the level they rate him to, and I've just reeled off some of these players, you'd understand now why I can't rate players like Bellingham, players like Bruno Fernandes, because I've seen players like that. And these guys, yeah, there were so many good players back then. These players weren't being called the best in the world. We knew they were, but there were so many good players. But to hear the likes of Bellingham and Bruno Fernandes get talked up, this is why I can't do it, because I've seen players like that, and some of these players weren't even talked about the way that you hear some of these players getting talked about now. So yeah, man, it is what it is. But guys, listen up. I'm going to have to wrap it up anyway. But big up yourselves for coming on each and every time. Smash the like button if you haven't done so already. And make sure you share the channel as well. So it reaches more people. And yeah, as always, big up to all the mods. Big up to all the newcomers as well. And yeah, Sham, man, we're the same age, bro. We're the same age. I didn't want to say it, man, but we're the same age. But big up, man. As I said, we've seen some football, man. So when I hear people talking about Bellingham and Bruno Fernandes and all these other players, man, it's never gonna wash with me, man, because I'm always going to have a defiance because I've seen some players, man. And a lot of these players that I've seen, as I said, they weren't getting talked about the way some of these players are now. So there has to be a line drawn, put it that way. But listen, great discussion, man. As I said, big up yourselves each and every time. Smash the likes, sub to the channel if you're new in here. And guys, make sure you're watching all the other content. You know, a lot of these contents are in they're in playlists. So if there's anything in particular that you want to see, whether it's me scoring some goals or in five-a-side, or whether it's chat about different stuff, then yeah, make sure you guys go over and have a look at that. Some of them are in chapters, a lot of them are not. Obviously, it does take a bit of time to do the chapters side of it. But yeah, listen, yeah, obviously the world's your oyster, man, if you want to go and watch that. But yeah, as I said, man, I'm off out anyway. Going to get some physiotherapy treatment for this fight coming up in 3 weeks. So, yeah, as I said, man, big up yourselves each and every time. Smash the like button, sub to the channel. And tomorrow's what? Wednesday? Yeah, possibly catch you guys tomorrow. As always, keep an eye on the schedule. Make sure your notifications are on. And yeah, I'll see you guys then. Take it easy.